everybody. Today we're going to talk about James chapter 1 verse 27. It says, "Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this, to visit orphans and widows in their affliction and to keep oneself unstained from the world." James finishes this chapter with the definition of true religion. True religion isn't just about talking the talk. It's about loving people and living righteously in right standing before God and man. James is making it clear that faith is not just about what you believe, but also about what you do with what you believe. It's not enough to just go to church. It's about being there for people when they need help. It's not about following religious traditions blindly. It's about staying pure in a world that constantly tries to pull us away from God. He highlights two main points: caring for the vulnerable and keeping ourselves spiritually clean. Back in James's day, orphans and widows were some of the most vulnerable people in the society. No safety nets or government support to rely on. Families took care of their own, but orphans and widows were often left forgotten. Today, these definitions have evolved. It isn't just about literal orphans and widows. It's about anyone who feels abandoned or is struggling. Think about the elderly neighbor who hardly gets any visitors anymore, the kid in your church who's grieving loss or divorce, or the single parent feeling overwhelmed with caring for their brood. James is making it clear that God sees these people and he's pleased when we step up to help. The Greek word for visit actually means more than just saying hi. It suggests really diving into their situation, understanding their needs, and taking action to help. That's the doing part of faith, the kind of action that genuinely resonates with God's heart. We are called to actively live the Christian life the Good Samaritan way, not throw money at a wounded person, but to kneel down, bind their wounds, and sacrifice for their care. Whatever that looks like for you, do what God is calling you to do. James isn't just calling us to help others through. He also urges us to remain pure in a world that can feel morally bankrupt. The Greek word here he refers to more than the broken world system that's influenced by negativity and sin. Like we see in 2 Corinthians 4:4, in their case, the God of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. It distorts right and wrong and pressures us to compromise our values. It's like the world is trying to squeeze us into a mold that doesn't fit. Ever felt that pressure? It's like culture is always pushing you to conform to standards that you know aren't right. James warns us about that squeeze and gives us some guidance on how to resist it. We need to guard our hearts and minds, keeping an eye on our thoughts, actions, and influences like a shepherd looks after their sheep. We should stand firm in our identity, not letting the world define who we are, but letting God's word shape us instead. And we need to stay close to God, because the closer we are to Him, the harder it is for the world to mess with us. James really makes it clear that genuine faith shows up in two big ways: by loving people in practical ways and by living a life that honors God in a world that often doesn't. How do you personally define pure religion in your life? What actions or attitudes do you believe are essential for demonstrating genuine faith in your community? Think about this today. See you later.